I don't think many of our listeners realize what a global following you have. After attending many of your events, I'm always amazed at the representation of companies around the world, the thousands of miles that people travel to hear what you have to say and to learn what you have to teach. How fortunate for us to have you in our backyard. We don't have to travel the globe to get the benefit of what you have to offer.
Thank you. That's great. I'm really looking forward to the conference too. This is going to be a blast.
It will be exciting.
Yeah.
I heard you in a recent interview describe your signature work, being that in the area of accelerated learning, people tapping into their full potential and gaining access to their genius mind.
That's right.
With that being said, I'd like to ask my first question. Why is it so few of us are able to access our genius mind?
Well, we're raised in a culture that doesn't really acknowledge the full potential that human beings really are born into the world to express. So when we have amazing creativity and boundless enthusiasm and we're excited to explore the world, instead we get told to sit in a chair and pay attention and look at the chalkboard, and I'm going to instruct you in how to live in this world. So any of the real fabulous potential that we might express naturally has a tendency to be excluded and marginalized. And so we become, as Dr. Buckminster Fuller talked about it, de-geniused. So out of 10,000 children born in the world, 9,999 of them will be de-genius by the time they reach the 5th grade. So we give up some of our greatest potential as a way of fitting into a society that doesn't necessarily acknowledge who we really are. We're in not just an information age, we're in an information overload age where the half-life of useful information has dropped to just a matter of a few months. So, what we're learning in terms of content of information is less important than our ability, our processing ability, to make sure that we can get to the information that will serve us at the moment that we need it. Doesn't mean that change is bad. In fact, change is probably the one thing that we know is the most constant thing about society today. But more so, the kinds of changes that we're facing today, Mary, are extremely disruptive changes. They're really tumultuous change. And so what we need to become is skilled at surfing on these tumultuous waves of change that are coming through our world. So this is what I'm going to share at the conference, is how can we be in this position of dynamically steering our lives as these waves of change come. We can take that potential energy and turn it into kinetic energy to get us where we want to go. And our nervous system is absolutely designed to help us do that if we can overcome the kind of socialized mindsets that we developed as a result of being raised in our culture. One of the ways that we can rely on our genius mind's ability to process and not get overloaded by information is to understand the simple fact that the human eye and brain actually process 10 million bits of information per second.
Wow.
But the conscious mind, which is what you and I are using on a daily basis, only receives 40 bits of that 10 million bits of information. So here's this amazing bandwidth of information processing, and we only get this tiny little sliver at a conscious level, and then we're making all of our decisions based on that. Well, what if we can allow our mind to take all of that in, and then at a quiet time at the end of the day say, hey mind, do me a favor. Go through all that information that you've processed and deliver to me the answers to this particular problem or set of problems that I'm facing. And you can actually go to sleep with that decision, that command to your inner mind, and awaken with the answers to many of the problems that face you today. So let your inner mind do more of the heavy lifting of information processing and have it delivered to you at a conscious level what it is that you need. So you see, what we're really talking about is a better form of communication with these vast genius resources that are within. the key behind my work, certainly as a teacher, is not to give a bunch of fluffy ideas or content, more information. We've already got more information. But to give experiences that let somebody use what's really within them already. And so the brain model that I will offer will show you how to actually work with your neurophysiology, how your brain and mind work, so you can gain access to the full resources that are already within. And so, effective leader development is working with the leader first. Then leadership development is, how is that expressed with others within the organization? I'll give specific applicable techniques that you're going to be able to leave the conference and use immediately when you get back to the workplace.